Living alone as a single woman, safety was my number one priority. That's why I invested in a Ring security system. It included everything: smart locks, cameras, motion sensors, and even a video doorbell. I could check my cameras from anywhere, lock my doors remotely, and get real-time notifications about activity around my house. It felt like the perfect solution. For the first time in years, I slept soundly, confident that my house was protected. But what I didn't know was that someone else was watching too. It started with small things I barely noticed. One day I came home from work and found my porch light on. I distinctly remembered turning it off that morning, but I shrugged it off as me being forgetful. Another time I got a notification from my Ring app saying, "Motion detected, living room." When I checked the live feed, it was just my cat walking across the floor. Still, something about the way the camera lingered, panning slowly as if someone was controlling it, made my stomach twist. I convinced myself I was being paranoid. After all, I was the only one with access to the system, or so I thought. The turning point came late one night. I was watching TV when I got a notification. Front door camera, new activity detected. I opened the app. The live feed showed the empty porch outside my door. I tapped to zoom in, trying to see if something had triggered the motion sensor. Suddenly the camera panned, tilting to the left, toward my living room window. I didn't do that. A chill ran down my spine. I quickly disabled the camera from my phone, but the system sent another alert almost immediately. Motion detected, bedroom. Heart pounding, I opened the app again. This time, the camera showed my bedroom, the lights off, the curtains half open. The camera zoomed in, focusing on the corner of my bed, where I had a pile of laundry. It was the same camera I used to monitor my cat when I wasn't home. And now, someone else was using it to monitor me. I scrambled to change my account password, but as soon as I tried, I got an error message. Account locked. Too many failed login attempts. That's when my phone started buzzing. I froze as a text popped up on the screen, sent from an unknown number. Nice pyjamas. My hands trembled as I looked down. I was wearing the same pyjamas I'd worn in the bedroom footage. I felt nauseous. I called Ring customer support, barely able to keep my voice steady. The representative checked my account and confirmed my worst fear. Someone had logged into my system earlier that week from an unrecognised device. They'd used a brute force attack to guess my password, probably exploiting the fact that I'd reused one of my old passwords. The rep said they'd secure my account and investigate further, but I was already in full-blown panic mode. How long could they have been watching me? I whispered. The rep hesitated before responding. There's no way to know for sure, ma'am, but based on the logs, this may have been going on for weeks. I spent the next hour ripping every single Ring device out of my house. The cameras, the sensors, even the doorbell. I threw them all in a trash bag and shoved it into the closet. But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was still watching. And I was right. 2 days later, I woke up to find my front door wide open. I always locked it before bed. It was a habit drilled into me since childhood. But when I checked the lock's activity log, it showed the door had been unlocked remotely at 2:43 a.m. The worst part? Whoever did it had deleted the footage from my front door camera before I removed the system. The police couldn't do much. The officer I spoke to said cases like this were becoming more common. Hackers target smart home systems because they're easy to exploit. Once they're in, they can control everything: cameras, lights, even locks. I still don't know who was behind it. I moved out a month later, ditching every piece of smart tech in my life. But no matter how far I go, I'll never forget the message they sent me that night. It wasn't just the words that terrified me. It was the fact that they knew exactly where I was, and I had no idea who they were. It had been a quiet evening. After dinner, I settled onto the couch with a blanket and a glass of wine, scrolling aimlessly through my phone. The apartment felt cosy, with the soft glow of my living room lamp casting long shadows across the walls. Alexa, my ever-reliable Amazon Echo, sat quietly on the kitchen counter, waiting for her next command. She'd been part of my routine for months, and I rarely thought twice about her presence. "Alexa, set an alarm for 7 a.m, I said before heading to bed. Alarm set for 7 a.m, she replied in her calm, cheerful tone. I didn't know it then, but that night was going to be anything but peaceful. Sometime after midnight, I woke up to the sound of Alexa's voice. Motion detected at the front door. Groggy, I blinked at the clock. 12:47 a.m. My heart gave a small jolt. The motion sensor was part of the Ring system I'd installed, linked to Alexa to keep me updated on activity around my apartment. I grabbed my phone and opened the Ring app. The live feed showed the hallway outside my door. It was empty. I frowned and locked the screen. Probably just a bug, I thought, settling back into bed. At 2:14 a.m, Alexa spoke again. Motion detected in the living room. This time I froze. The living room was inside my apartment. I froze, gripping the blanket tightly, my mind racing through the possibilities. A malfunction? A false alarm? Or was there someone in the apartment with me? I swallowed hard and whispered, "Alexa, what triggered the motion sensor?" Motion detected at 2:14 a.m. Source living room sensor, she replied. My breath hitched. I grabbed my phone with trembling hands and opened the camera feed for the living room. The screen took agonizingly long to load, but when it did, the room appeared empty. Still, I couldn't ignore the creeping feeling that something was terribly wrong. "Alexa, turn on all the lights," I said, barely managing to keep my voice steady. The lights clicked on throughout the apartment, chasing away the shadows. I climbed out of bed, grabbing the heaviest thing I could find, a thick metal flashlight, and made my way to the living room. Everything was exactly as I'd left it. The couch, the coffee table, my jacket draped over the chair. Nothing seemed out of place. I checked every lock, including the sliding door to the balcony, and found them secure. It had to be a glitch. I reset the motion sensors and went back to bed, leaving the lights on this time, but sleep didn't come easily. The next morning I called Ring's customer support. The woman on the other end reassured me that it was likely just a sensitivity issue. "Try adjusting the settings," she said, "and make sure your system firmware is up to date." Her explanation sounded reasonable, but deep down, I couldn't shake the unease gnawing at me. That evening I double-checked the locks before bed. At 3:22 a.m, Alexa's voice woke me again. Motion detected in the bedroom. My breath caught in my throat. The bedroom? I was in the bedroom. I sat up, my pulse pounding in my ears. The dim light from my phone barely illuminated the room, casting eerie shadows along the walls. My eyes darted to the sliding door to the balcony. It was wide open. The cold air hit me like a slap. My chest tightened as I noticed the faintest hint of movement in the shadows just beyond the door. "Alexa, turn on the bedroom lights," I whispered. The light clicked on, flooding the room, and that's when I saw him. A man stood on my balcony, his face pale and wide-eyed as he realised the room was no longer dark. He wasn't dressed like a typical burglar. No mask, no gloves, just a hoodie and jeans. His bare hands clutched the railing, his breathing visible in the cold night air. For a moment, we locked eyes, and I could see the panic in his expression. He had been caught. I scrambled to grab my phone, my fingers shaking as I dialed 911. Before I could say a word, the man turned and bolted. He sprinted toward the edge of the balcony, and to my horror, he didn't stop. He jumped. I ran to the door, heart racing, and looked down. He had landed on the patch of snow below, sprawled out and unmoving. When the police arrived minutes later, they found him unconscious, but alive. He had broken several bones from the fall. As they cuffed him and loaded him into the ambulance, one of the officers pulled me aside. "He's been on our radar," the officer said grimly. "We think he's been targeting women in the area, stalking them, figuring out their routines before breaking in. He probably didn't expect the motion sensor to go off." As the officer's words sank in, a chilling wave of realization swept over me. If Alexa hadn't warned me, who knows what that man might have done. The next day, as I stood in my apartment staring at the sliding door, I couldn't stop thinking about what could have happened if I hadn't set up the motion sensors, or if Alexa hadn't announced the alerts. The intruder had been planning something, and thanks to Alexa, I'll never have to know what. When my wife and I brought home our daughter Lily, we wanted to make sure she was always safe. Like most new parents, we felt the anxiety of constantly wondering if we were doing enough to protect her. That's why we bought a smart baby monitor, a sleek little device that sat on Lily's dresser. It was perfect. Guardian Cam had an HD camera, night vision, and a motion sensor. It even had an AI-powered audio detection feature that could differentiate between Lily crying, coughing, or just babbling in her crib. Everything was linked to an app on our phones, so we could keep an eye on her no matter where we were. At first, it felt like the perfect solution. But looking back, I wish we had never brought it into our home. For the first few months, Guardian Cam worked exactly as advertised. If Lily fussed in the middle of the night, I'd get a notification. Sound detected, Lily is crying. If she started moving around, the app would ping with, motion detected, Lily is awake. It even helped us sleep better, knowing we could check the feed any time. Technology really makes parenting easier, huh? My wife said one evening as she scrolled through the app. I nodded, feeling grateful for the extra peace of mind. But then, about 6 months in, little things started to feel strange. One night I was reading in bed when I got a notification from the app. Motion detected. Lily is awake. I opened the live feed, expecting to see her sitting up in her crib, but the room was empty. Lily was sound asleep, her small body curled up under the blanket. I stared at the screen, confused. Maybe it was a glitch. I reset the app and went back to reading, but then it happened again the next night, and the night after that. Each time the camera claimed there was motion in the room, even when Lily was asleep. I chalked it up to a faulty sensor, though the unease lingered in the back of my mind. A week later, I was working late when my wife texted me. Hey, did you log into the Guardian Cam app just now? No, I replied. Why? She called me immediately, her voice low and urgent. It says someone accessed the live feed a few minutes ago, but I thought it was you. My stomach tightened. I opened the app on my phone and checked the activity logs. Sure enough, there was an entry marked live feed accessed. But the device ID listed wasn't mine or my wife's. Maybe it's a bug, I said, trying to reassure her. I'll reset the password when I get home. That night I updated the app, reset the password, and even enabled two-factor authentication. For a while everything seemed fine, but a few days later I got another notification. New device connected to Guardian Cam. This time I knew it wasn't a glitch. I opened the app and stared at the live feed, my chest tightening. The camera was slowly panning across Lily's room, as if someone were controlling it remotely. I rushed to her room, yanked the camera off the dresser, and unplugged it. My wife came in, startled by the noise. What's going on? She asked. I think someone's watching her, I said, my voice shaking. The next morning I contacted Guardian Cam's customer support. The representative was polite but unhelpful, suggesting the breach might have been caused by a weak password. It's a good idea to update your firmware regularly, he added, but I'd done everything right. My password was strong, and the firmware was up to date. Still, I couldn't prove anything. It wasn't until a week later that I discovered just how serious the breach was. One evening, I was scrolling through social media when I received a message from an unknown account. It was a photo of Lily, sitting in her crib, clutching her stuffed animal. My blood ran cold. The photo had been taken through the Guardian Cam. I could see the angle of the camera in the background, the same one I'd stared at every night while checking on her. Then another message came through. Want more? We have plenty. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I searched online, desperate to understand how this could happen. That's when I found a forum in the dark corners of the internet where people traded access to hacked baby monitors and security cameras. Some were selling live feeds for as little as $10, while others posted stolen photos for free. I scrolled through the listings, nauseated. There were babies sleeping in cribs, toddlers playing with toys, innocent moments turned into someone else's entertainment. And then I saw it. Another photo of Lily, this time from the night we'd heard the motion alert. We got rid of the Guardian Cam immediately, destroying the hardware and cutting all ties to the app. I filed a police report, and contacted a cybersecurity expert to help trace the breach, but they told me the same thing the police did. These hackers were almost impossible to track. To this day, I don't know who was watching my daughter or how long they've been doing it, but I can't shake the feeling that Lily's image is still out there, floating in the dark corners of the web, where we'll never be able to find it. If you're thinking about bringing one of these devices into your home, ask yourself, who else might be watching? Because once your privacy is gone, you might never get it back. This story is about something that happened to a family member of a friend, a guy named Tom. Tom was a tech enthusiast, the kind of person who loved having the newest gadgets. When self-driving cars became available, he couldn't wait to get one. His car, a sleek electric model equipped with the latest AI technology, was supposed to be the safest thing on the road. The company claimed its advanced sensors and machine learning algorithms made it virtually crash-proof. "It's like having a personal chauffeur," Tom would joke. But one night the car made a decision no human would ever make, and Tom paid the price. It happened on a quiet highway late at night. Tom had been driving back from a work trip, and after hours behind the wheel, he decided to let the car's autopilot take over. "Drive me home," he said, leaning back in his seat as the steering wheel folded away. The AI responded in its soothing, robotic tone. Destination set. Estimated arrival, 12:18 a.m. Tom's family knew he trusted that car completely. He'd even boasted about how it had saved him once, automatically braking when another driver had run a red light. But that night, the same system that was supposed to protect him led him straight into disaster. The official report said it started with an unexpected obstacle. No one knows what the sensors detected, maybe a stray animal or debris on the road. But instead of stopping, the AI swerved sharply to avoid it, sending the car into the opposite lane. At that exact moment, a semi-truck was coming from the other direction. The car's AI, programmed to make split-second decisions, analysed the situation. It calculated the trajectory, speed and angles. Then it made a choice, a cold, logical choice that no human driver would have made. Instead of swerving back to its original lane, the car veered off the road entirely, barrelling toward a guardrail. Tom must have realised something was wrong, but by the time he tried to regain control, it was too late. The system had locked him out. The manual override wouldn't respond, and the car was moving too fast for him to do anything. The car's sensors, designed to detect and avoid obstacles, had failed to account for one critical factor. The guardrail wasn't strong enough to stop it. The car broke through the barrier and plummeted into a ravine. The authorities found Tom's car the next morning, its frame crumpled at the bottom of a steep embankment. The AI system was still active when they arrived, its dashboard flashing. Obstacle avoided, damage sustained, emergency services notified. Tom didn't survive the crash. The investigation revealed chilling details. The car's AI had chosen to avoid the collision with the truck by prioritising the least risky outcome, calculating that going off the road posed less danger than a head-on collision. But the algorithm didn't factor in the height of the ravine or the weakness of the guardrail. In its effort to minimise damage, the AI had effectively decided that Tom's life was expendable. Tom's family tried to sue the car manufacturer, but the company insisted that the system had performed exactly as designed. They said the AI made the safest decision based on available data, they said. This was an unavoidable accident. But was it really unavoidable? Tom's family argued that the AI should have alerted him earlier, giving him a chance to take control before things spiraled out of hand. Others questioned whether the system's programming had been rushed or tested thoroughly enough. In the end, the lawsuit went nowhere. The car company blamed the accident on human error, saying Tom should have been paying closer attention. Tom's story isn't unique. Similar incidents have popped up in recent years, cases where self-driving cars made fatal mistakes because they couldn't account for the complexity of real-life situations. Artificial intelligence doesn't think like we do. It doesn't feel fear, pain, or hesitation. It's cold, logical, and ruthlessly efficient. But sometimes those calculations cost lives. Whenever I see one of those self-driving cars on the road, I can't help but think about Tom and wonder what choice it might make next. Thank you for listening to these stories. Technology is advancing faster than we can imagine, and with it come new fears, new dangers, and new nightmares. Do you have your own story about AI or technology gone wrong? Something eerie, unsettling, or downright terrifying? If so, we'd love to hear it. Send us your story. You never know, it might just end up featured here. Stay safe out there, and remember, sometimes the things we trust the most are the ones we should fear the most.